is with Christ himself. At times, she seems to outshine even the Son of God. The Doge, too, is deified. These images foretell what Venice would become, proud and arrogant. The Doge even appears with the Madonna.
But that was all far in the future. In the early days, the Doge was far from being considered a god. In fact, as warring families fought for control of Venice, the Doge had trouble even staying alive.
Doge Teodato Ipato came to a terrible end. He was blinded and deposed by his successor. Doge Domenico Monegario was stabbed to death in his own palace. And 8-year-old Doge Pietro Tradonico was sprung on by an armed gang and left for dead. But over time, things improved. This is the Great Council Chamber. Here the Doge presided over meetings with the 2,500 representatives of Venice. This room was at the heart of Venetian government. What we see today is the replacement to an earlier hall, burned down in 1577. But it reflects the confidence of early Venice. At the far end is a huge canvas by Tintoretto, his vision of paradise. A bold assertion that Venetian government could match the divine order above. Venice tried so hard to banish earthly imperfections that the whole process of electing a Doge turned into a real nightmare.
First, 9 members were chosen by lottery, and these 9 had to choose 40 members of the Great Council. And each of these 40 members had to be approved by at least 7 of the 9. From these 40, they drew lots, and they become 25. And these 25 have to choose another 12. The 12 decided they choose another 45, and from the 45 they arrived to be 11. 11. These 11 were going to choose 41 voters, and they are these 41 that are going to make the election of the Doge. It was that easy. Even us Venetians don't really understand it. But we do understand that it worked. I think so.
So for the times, Venice made immense efforts to avoid the corruption of other states, to stop power falling into the hands of one dynasty. Even ordinary people could have some influence on government. All over the palace are these letter boxes. Into the mouth, people could post private accusations of crimes committed at any level of society. It worked. Venetians were amongst the most law-abiding of Europeans. Even the Doge was checked for bribery and corruption.
Every indulgence was granted to the Doge, except he was not allowed to speak to foreigners without supervision. Except every letter he wrote, even to his wife, had to pass before a censor. He could receive gifts, but only flowers, rose water, sweet herbs, and balsam. So he had everything, except his freedom.
In this room are pictures of every Doge who ruled Venice. Only one is missing, hidden by a black cloth is the face of Doge Marin Falier, the Doge who tried to make himself king to overthrow the Republic. The plot was foiled, and he was beheaded on the steps to the palace. The office of the Doge brought to Venice all the majesty of a monarchy without its dynastic limitations. In a world of magnificent court ritual, Venice was unrivaled. But the city lacked a spiritual figurehead, something all-powerful cities of the age possessed, the relics of a great saint to call its own. Rome had the body of St. Peter, an apostle and a direct link to Christ. All Venice had was St. Theodore, truly a second-division saint. But the Venetians believed they had a claim on someone greater. Local legend claimed that the apostle Saint Mark, blown off course into the Venetian lagoon, had seen an angel who told him one day he would be laid to rest there. Inspired by the legend, two Venetian merchants slipped unnoticed into the crypt of a church in Alexandria, on the north coast of Africa. They were there to steal one of the most sacred relics of the Christian world, the remains of Saint Mark the Apostle. In the medieval world, the relics of saints who were close to Christ brought in huge amounts of money from pilgrims. They conferred sacred status on a city and inspired armies to feats of military glory. News of the theft spread quickly. All the ships in the harbor were searched. But the merchants concealed the body of the saint in a basket under pieces of pork, and the Muslim soldiers fled. The audacious plan had succeeded, and Saint Mark came back to Venice. The city had a saint to rival even Rome, and soon the ancient symbol of Saint Mark became the emblem of Venice, the winged lion. And the Venetians built a church to house the body of their new saint. It would become one of the most recognizable buildings in the world, the Basilica of Saint Mark. On the front of the building, a mosaic depicts the body arriving from Alexandria. Saint Mark's is the most extravagant and richly decorated church in the whole of Europe. Built as the Doge's private chapel, it took 30 years to complete. A miracle of engineering for the end of the 11th century, though it has been sinking into the marshy ground ever since. Like the Basilica of Torcello, the inspiration is from the east. The church is in the form of a Greek cross, supporting 5 great domes. The interior is dominated by Christ and his disciples. In all, there are 4,000 square meters of mosaic, crafted by Venetian artists over 7